Hi, this is Leslie, Susanna, Will and Emma.
Hiya.
And we're in the Shropshire Hills doing a recce for the Shropshire Mammothon. Over to Eddie and Gary for the Tea and Trails podcast. Bye.
Hello and welcome to episode 119 of the Tea and Trails podcast. And thanks for the intro, Leslie, Suzanne, Will and Emma. And I hope you had a blast. Apologies, I didn't get to this in time. Hope you had a blast at the Mammothon. 12-hour time limit, so fingers crossed you all got to the finish. And I love that. I checked out, there's like a whole running festival, all different distances, and the cut-off time seemed really super generous. So yeah, really inclusive. I do like the sound of that. Please keep those intros coming. Email them to hello@teaandtrails.com. Big hugs and kisses to all our patrons and everyone who has joined.
Do we doing that every week? You're spreading a lot of sweaty germs with all this hugging and
sweaty
kissing,
hugs
Gary.
over the weekend. When you go to the capital, you realise how many germs they are. When you're kind of really sensitive about picking up germs before a big race, it's so busy. It's so busy. Yeah, anyway, big hugs and kisses to all our patrons and everyone who's joined Patreon over the last week for the price of a cuppa. Yes, there was a few expensive cuppas, so I can testify for the price of a cuppa. You can keep the lights hot and the mics on and save big time for all your trail running essentials. Also, lovely to see, and I heard our listeners out on the course at London. That was incredible. I can't remember the exact mile. I got a heavy flex as I was running the London Marathon. Incredible. I hope you all had as much fun as I did. And don't forget, if you would like a snood or a bobble hat, then you need to add your address to Patreon. No address, no goodies. We've got some new Patreon perks, Eddie. One good thing, Save Our Souls, Primus Stoves and Talk Nutrition discount codes can be found over at Patreon. If you're wondering who One Good Thing are, I've seen these quite often on my social media. They produce nutrition that is wrapper free, so that is super interesting. I like the sound of that. And Save Our Souls, they produce shoe dryers.
They very kindly sent us one, and I don't think I've ever seen my teenage children so excited about something, because one of their absolute pet peeves is when they come back from sport. I'm really strict about, you sort your kit out, don't do anything else, you come in the door, you're not allowed entry into the main hub of the house until you've emptied your kit bag. Washing to the right, shoes to the left. Anyway, I make them stuff newspaper into their rugby boots to dry them out, and then they never really dry out, do they?
No.
Same with the trainers. And then this package, didn't really know what it was. Oh my goodness, the excitement that they would be able to, a little bit of technology. They love a bit of technology, and that they would now just be able to do anything that they don't have to do any admin. They can just put their shoes on there.
I've never used them before. When we went to Fawnside Farm Cottages, it was in the winter, so our footwear were very wet every day, and they had a different type of shoe dry. But oh my goodness me, it was so nice putting warm shoes on in the morning. It was incredible. But not only keeps your shoes dry and warm, it helps with athlete's foot too. My feet, not fun times down there, so anything to help.
Thank you to X Miles Precision Fuel Hydration, Harrier Trail Running, Phoenix Light UK and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show.
X Miles is a family-owned independent endurance sport retailer that provides nutritional goods, apparel and accessories to help athletes perform and recover at their best. X Miles offer a wide range of high-quality products from leading brands, and their team of nutrition experts, cyclists, runners and outdoor enthusiasts can provide expert advice and guidance to help you reach your goals, whether you're a seasoned athlete or just getting started. X Miles is the perfect place to find everything you need to succeed. Listeners can get 10% off over at www.xmiles.co.uk via the link in the show notes.
I think the court answer using the Patreon code, I've had a number of people said, thank you so much for that. That is amazing, because it's a little bit pricey, but with the discount codes as well, it just makes that little bit of difference, doesn't it? So thank you, X Miles, for supporting us. Entries for the Tea and Trails Ultra Weekend, selling like hotcakes. If you want a weekend of trail running, chatting, entertainment, camping, you can bring your dogs. I love the way you keep going on. Well-behaved dogs, as if you are some sort of dog training
guru.
There will be tests on the gate that your dog can speak Mandarin, can make tea, and knows all the capitals of Europe. So just as long as your dog can do that, they are more than welcome. Head over to www.teaandtrailsultra.com. We also announced this week our guest lineup. We're super excited excited. So check out the socials. Let's just leave a little teaser there. You will not only get to run with these people, you will get to, we'll do some meet and greets. I'm sure they'll be signing.
Rest in the flesh.
Rest in the flesh. We're also very grateful to Yugoku Projects for producing our Tea and Trails cap. I saw this on a sweaty little one of these on the streets of London. Pop over to Yugoku Projects if you'd like one. Don't forget, if you're a patron, you receive 20% off.
Saved my bacon. I'm going to go bucket cap, but I thought that was too strong a look, so I thought I would rep the Tea and Trails cap.
I've got a slight red line from mine because I wear it every single run, and I think now it's getting a bit hot and sweaty. I need to lube my forehead. It's just another part of me that chaps.
I had my hoodie, I had my Tea and Trails t-shirt, I had my cap on, just in case anyone was in any doubt what I do for a living.
So what should we do? We could talk about the week leading up to it. I mean, we kind of know the outcome, don't we? And anything Spoiler. I say is no one is interested in what I did. All they want to know is what you did. But I'm going to tell everybody what I did anyway, because
go for it.
Let's do this. You guys are the only people I'm talking to this week, so you're going to get it full on. My dad actually messaged me on Friday. I reckon he's the first listener. He listens front to back to the podcast as soon as it comes out, and then sends
Is he a harsh critic?
Down. He was like, sounded a bit overexcited. I think it was the day we recorded The Kids Had Gone Back, and I was like, I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or not. I think he was a bit, gosh, jeez. Anyway, let's talk about me. Let's not make this all about you. I had a fine week, but it's so dull. I was thinking driving when I was coming back from dropping the kids at school, I was like, how can I make this sound more exciting than I can? And I can't. It's just the grind. It's just turn up every single day. One of the kids' rugby coaches sends these like amazing WhatsApp messages after every match. They're really well curated. They're really well thought out. And then we forward them on to the kids. And he's such a good coach. And it was all
Are they a voice message or a text?
No, it's just like a written, but it's really well written. He used all these emojis. Like, he's so good. I just want to copy paste it and like change a few things. Oh no, don't say that. It had a bit of a tough match, and it was all about staying in the moment, staying in the absolute moment you're in, doing the best that you can do in that moment. And I was like, I'm going to take this from the under 14 rugby team into my own life. Absolutely. And I'm really, now my race season is creeping up on me. And I get that little butterfly in my tummy of the panic of I'm not doing enough. I need to do more, which is why is that always our first call of like, I need to do more, rather than what I'm doing needs to be better. I need to focus.
It's in the ultra runner DNA, isn't it? More is better.
I think it's in our DNA. That's what makes us the endurance ultra runner, is that we love the volume, but I can't do more because I haven't got any more time or energy. That flicked a little switch in me, like, I need to do everything that I'm doing. I need to do it really well, and I need to do it. There can't be any shortcuts. Every single little bit of my life, have I turned up to the best? I mean, it's a strange conversation to have at 5 a.m. at the tumble dryer, to go, turn up the best you can at this laundry, just fold it the best you can.
But it's hard to be on it, Eddie. For everything you do, it's hard.
But I gotta be, Gary. I want to stay on it. So I have been like, because I've got really full on 2 weeks, a lot of time on my own. Instead of going, I'm not doing enough, everything that I do it well. Okay, I've only got 20 minutes for strength training. Well, don't dick around in there, dancing to all the tunes. Get in, lift. Don't look at Instagram. Don't do anything. Do your lifting. Get out. Got your session. Get in. Everything. I've been so. It's an interesting thought process. And I said to Bryn, it's very much how I didn't do this before Winter 200, but I did do this before the spine, was that I really committed to that, like 6-8 weeks before the race. I did some really big days. I did some horrible things in training. I really focused, and it really made a difference when the chips were down and things were really tough, that mentally I was like in that bubble. And I feel like I'm getting there again now. 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, Gary, full weekend weekend with a lot of emotional highs and lows with the kids, with some big sporting events. I put my heat suit on and I thought, oh my God, I got to go out for an hour in my heat suit now. Bryn very kindly said, do you want me to come with you? And I was like, I would love that. But just a memo, it will be very slow. And he's like, I love going slow, it's fine. It was really hot, like clammy. I don't often do it like that late in the evening. It was really hot, really clammy. And when I said slow to him, I don't think he realized like
how slow.
Quite how slow. So I felt guilty for running so slow. And so I was trying to like run a little bit quicker. My heart rate, Gary, was 157. I was dying. Every time we got to a gate, I had to put my hands on my knees and then I'd strike up like a line of like, so which way do you want to go? Or I'd say, so talk me through this trip. Like where exactly, so that he would be leading questions so that we could walk a bit. Or I'd just be like, I've got to walk a bit.
Can you have a conversation though?
He said, this is just what it's like when mile 80 of 100, like when you're like unable, you pick up your pacer and you're like, I can't talk, I can't do anything. I literally,
my legs are too much.
Yeah,
I can't hear. I'm shouting and I can't hear what Lisa's saying.
And you can't hear. And I do find it hard to like converse as well. I think the body's in such stress that I can't hold a normal conversation. Anyway, that's when I came to I was like, this is so hard. This is so horrible, but this is so good because this sort of training is when it gets to the nasty bits of races, when you question your sanity, when you're like, why am I here? You just pull that thread of like 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, everybody's at home watching Britain's Got Talent, and you're out. Jeez, absolute. But it was a bit of a mistake. I learned not run with somebody else when you're heat training because I absolutely fried myself and I didn't sleep then. And the next day I was like really stiff from dehydration. I'm still learning on this heat suit journey, but it sort of did really frame my mind. So that was good. And I'm just trying to fit in the sessions when I can. I had a treadmill session, one of my favorites, an extended cut down, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 at 5%, but gotta go. So I just, for no reason, set myself half a mile an hour quicker on each one. So I was really scared setting the speed at 10 because I was like, it's going to be very much faster when I get to 2. I had 45 minutes before my slot for Sainsbury's to come, and I can just, out of the garage, I can just see the front door.
Oh, the jeopardy.
The jeopardy. I was like, don't come now. When I started, I thought, if he arrives, I can, great, I can bin it off. And then when I got to like 6 and 4 efforts, I was like, I really want to finish this. If he comes now, having to jump back on the treadmill and get my heart rate back up to that, like, because once you're halfway through that, you're there, you're in it. You don't want to stop because it's taken so long to get the heart. Anyway, he didn't. But when he did arrive, I jumped off the treadmill and I only had my like puffer jacket to put on because I'd just been in my crop. Oh my God, I was so hot, so sweaty.
You have to explain to him what you've been doing. I
must be getting a reputation with every local like, what is this woman doing every time we go around? She's like in this just terrible state.
Distressed.
There's a smell. I'm so distressed. Maybe I'll get the police knocking on my door. They'll understand. They probably listen to the pod. Long run, great long run. I talked, I think last week before, about I'm going to just put that time aside. It's going to be sacrosanct and I'm going to get out for my long run. Exactly what I did. Plan my route, and then I started the route and I was like, this isn't going to work. I'm not going this way. I just didn't want to go up this really steep hill. So I decided to go the other way, opposite way. Didn't really work. Anyway, 17 miles, 4,000 feet. Did a little bit of exploring, got lost in a bog. I was so happy, Gary. I was in such my happy place. I was like stumbling around in this bog with my poles, sipping on the flow gel. I was like, that's nowhere I'd rather be. I'm experimenting with the flow gel. So I fill my bottles up with it, Gary, because you're an experienced flow geler. You know this. So I've got some questions. Yes. So if I take the smaller bottle, which is 120 grams of carbs, I can shove it into my water bottle holder as well. This is a great hack.
That's
so that you
interesting.
so that you can water and gel. You can double nipple it, Gary.
Yes.
And also every time I drink out the double nipples, I have a little
Okay, cool.
I just double nippling. So that's a really good tip because it
That
leaves
is
your
such a good
pockets.
tip. Sometimes I would like to say to have one gel or one water, but then it's I'm holding my pecs, listeners. But then that would be expensive, some hydration. So to have those smaller bottles.
So so I run in the Salomon 12-liter vest, and I've got so many, probably like everybody, so many of the bottles, like a mixture of like Montaigne, Ultimate Direction, Salomon bottles, whichever ones have less mold in, I just put in. It's better to use the actual Salomon bottles because they're thinner than the Montaigne ones. Then you can shove the flow gel in. So I can take 240 grams of carbs in my breast, in my vest. But the only thing I found with it, it doesn't feel that potent to me. So I can gobble 120 grams of that flow gel in an hour. Can you? Do you find that you gobble that that gel down? That flow gel? Because it's I think as well, because it's more liquidy, it almost feels a bit like water. It's just so easy to take.
Yeah, it's much easier to take on the move. And there's not, sometimes with the gel, I don't really, I took Precision Stream hydration gels for 3 hours at the weekend. It wasn't an issue as far as any kind of tolerance to it. But yeah, definitely so much easier to get down.
Yeah, okay. So that might just be me, but I'm going to definitely try it out because I haven't used the bigger bottles, but that is so much carbs you can carry. And so I did for my long run, I did a bit of fatigue resistance, which seems to be the in word at the moment. So I did, about 3 hours worth of like hiking, running, proper like 100, 200 mile pace. Love it. My favorite sort of pace, like just, little incline, walk up this. And then I did half an hour, like what feels like tempo, but is not tempo because you've been doing that. Back to the car. I did feel like a movie star because I'd gone out quite early. So everybody was just starting going up this Monroe and I was coming back along like it's like undulating.
Yeah.
I put my music on and I just imagine that as I was running past, people were like, she is fast. She's crushing some 9-minute miles there. So I did like half an hour. It's a great session, people. If you want to add a little string to your bow, it shows if your fueling and pacing is working, if you can push the power a little bit for half an hour at the end of your long run. So that's what I did. And I felt sensational, Gary. And I think that is a lot to do with the fact I'd taken 240 grams of the flow gel, plus a bar, plus a hot cross bun. So that is a lot. I was smashing about 120 grams of carbs an hour, maybe.
Per hour. That is
per hour. I was on fire. I still felt, and I thought that means I'm going to feel better when I get home. Still absolutely smashed, Gary. Long runs just kill me. I just can't function as a normal human being then.
Do you feel dehydrated? I'm curious on this, like long run, why you feel so wiped out. Are you dehydrated?
I always feel really wiped out after my long run. I think maybe because I do it at the end of the week. Maybe I do them a little bit too fast when I look at like, it's not fast as in my fast running speed. I'm pushing. And I think then if I go with people and we run much slower, I think, oh God, that is a lot easier than perhaps I should go. I don't really know. So I pushed the fuel, still felt pretty wiped out, but I do, probably dehydration as well, because there's no real water sources. I'm not drinking out of bog, especially with the amount of dead lambs I saw on this run as well. No. So I only had a litre of water, I guess, for almost 4 hours. So that's not a lot, is it? But I tell you what, my snack game back in the car, if you have to drive to your long runs and you put in your car, can of Coke, packet of salt and vinegar crisps, a recovery shake,
love it,
recovery shake, a litre of tea, and then a litre of water, all drunk before I leave the car park. You're winning in life. Anyway, so I fitted everything in, highs and lows, but generally feeling not niggles, but every morning I get up, something different hurts. I'm always like, after 20 minutes, after my 2 cups of tea, I feel okay. I'm out.
Can you imagine waking up and everything's fine?
Going down the stairs without holding I have to go down the stairs, leading with the left leg sideways.
Yeah.
Holding the banister. And if Bryn's slippers aren't at the bottom of the stairs, and then I'm like, I need some comfort on my old bunions. I wouldn't have it any other way, Gary. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about your lead up into the marathon, like your taper week, and then we can deep dive. Oh yeah, baby cakes, deep dive into those stats later on.
Yeah, so I had the very classic conventional marathon taper. What was it, 20 on the Sunday before the race? Was it 22, 23 miles?
I'm not going to lie to you, I was so nervous about this, but yet again, you proved me wrong, which I love.
So far, there might be something lurking around the corner to bite me on the bum, but so far I seem to be, I'm like Icarus. I'm flying close to the flames. Am I going
so close to the sun? I think we both are, Gary. We both are.
I didn't give myself a break during the week either. So every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I heat trained. Pace, not so fast, but as much as anybody, the stress on your body as far as your heart rate's concerned. But I find now I'm not really, I probably will now when I start up doing it again. But towards the end of that week, I wasn't threshold running, but I finally got to heat champ status. Not now, because obviously I've not done it for a few days. Yeah, sad times.
Quick check. I think I might have dropped off. I've only done one this week.
I'm not even looking. But this was the test. So
96%. I'm going to have to close this podcast down. I've only got 1% left. Love you. Bye.
So this was the test. I'd heard that between 3 to 5 days was a good point to stop doing your heat training. So yeah, I'm a greedy runner. I want to do well at London. I want to do well at Old County Tops. I want to do well at Lake 100. I want to do well at Swaledale Marathon too. But it was set up as a perfect test for me ahead of what is supposed to be my A race, Old County Top. So I thought I'll go push it as far as possible, zero taper, potentially dehydrated, go for that 3-day heat taper before London. And it was fascinating, actually. I won't go too much into the data, but I'll talk about that a bit later. But I have got the data from the 2024 Manchester Marathon, which is the same time of the year. I ran a few seconds faster at London. Temperature at Manchester last year, from memory, was warm too, and unlike London, you don't get any opportunity really for much shade in Manchester. It's a lot more open, the route, as far as that's concerned. But yeah, the data from A to B, and I do totally respect this is a one-on-one experiment. There's not like 500 people doing this test. Yeah, spoiler, it worked spectacularly for me. But the week was 2 mile on Wednesday at marathon pace, and that was where I had a little good sign, because I did a similar run 4 weeks maybe before that on the treadmill before I was heat adapted, and the heart rate difference between the two runs was spectacular. You're looking at maybe about 10 beats a minute, but it was like 132, I think 135 maybe it maxed out on. So a huge difference. But although my heart rate has improved, that side of that kind of under the bonnet endurance mechanically, I'm not used to running fast. So no running from Thursday. I really was diligent with that. We ended up doing a park run, or the others did a park run on the Saturday, and I sat it out. I was adamant. Everyone was like, come on, we'll just do a little park run. Some of them even walked. I'm like, no, going to save those steps for the next day. Heart rate, variability, holding steady, solid sleep. I did get like a coleslaw on my lip. Coleslaw all over my lip. And that was triggering me a little bit. Is something just about to come? But yeah, it still stayed there, but nothing has emerged. Travelled on the Friday afternoon, and if you can afford to do this, either financially or the time, that is such a good thing to do. You get all of your admin. There was a little bit of stress. We had to get to the finished church to book in before 8 o'clock, and then to the expo to pick our numbers up before 8 o'clock. So yeah, we did cut it fine, but we did everything, and then that just removed every little element of stress on Saturday. I met Paul Sinton Hewitt, who was the Park Run founder, and we meet quite a few special people on this podcast. We chat with people week in, week out. Some people have done amazing things. Paul Sinton Hewitt was up there with the best. He was so, for everything he's done, I was thinking afterwards, imagine like a world without parkrun. Would somebody else have just done something, or were we kind of just satisfied with how things are? But how parkrun has mobilized, I think he said something like 10 million people are signed up for parkrun, and any given Saturday, I think it's about 400,000 people do it. So imagine a world without parkrun. But he was so engaged in everybody else there.
Did he know you? Did he?
He did.
Oh, Gary, big fan.
I should reach out, actually. When he left us, everyone was saying, it was like an interview, it was. I was just fascinated by the guy. Like, he's done so much, but he seemed so interested in everybody else. Also saw, this was like real celebrity. Ellie Simmons, that was a right thrill. So Aaron and I chilled out. We did not run, everybody else did. And then afterwards, we found a lovely, fresh bagel shop in Finsbury
Of course
Park.
you did. You'd already marked that.
Jumping on
guys, look, a
bagels.
bakery. Oh, it's right here.
Well,
Fresh.
Jane, one of the people that we travelled with, she every time I saw her, she was eating a bagel. So I just thought I'd Google bagels in Finsbury Park, and that's where we went to. And we sat and ate bagels, ate donuts in the sun, Finsbury Park. And what you'll get in these big parks now, they have like boot camps, there was cycling going on, there was joggers, personal trainers.
You couldn't believe it. Your little aunt, you must have been like...
It was just beautiful.
Patreons,
Sunshine.
You listeners.
Well, I do think when I look at the roads, I do get a bit seduced by, oh my goodness, all those people, potential listeners, but they're not trail runners, so they probably don't. Quite a funny story, actually. So we're in the Finnish church, and I think fair to say, none of us had a great night's sleep on the Friday. So Justin, we tried to get a sleep on the Saturday afternoon, and in the Finnish church, there must have been, because it's like a community hub for people around Rotherhithe, and I suppose if you're from the Finnish community too, and there was some kind of gathering, so there was music, there was a big barbecue going on right outside of our accommodation. So Justin was not getting any sleep, and he'd had one bad night's sleep, not getting his nap, looking at a potential second bad night's sleep. So he books a travel lodge, and he abandons us. He leaves us in the Finnish church.
I love that. I'm out of it.
But it was so funny. On the night before, on Friday night, I woke up at whatever time it was, tried to go to the toilet. Aaron, I don't know what he was doing in the top bunk, but he was disturbing Justin so much that Justin took his... I don't know what he was doing. He was disturbing Justin so much. Justin took his mattress off the bed and slept on the floor in the middle of everybody else.
Oh, poor Justin. He's in a bit of a rough run. Was he all right? Did his marathon go well?
He had a great run, actually. So we're getting out of the bed. I'm getting out of bed at whatever, 3 o'clock in the morning, nearly stand on Justin. I go to the loo, come out. Aaron's climbing down the step ladders looking at Justin like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah, complete course. But thankfully, yes. Because I said to Justin, he was like, oh, do you mind if I go to the hotel? And I was like, you got to do what you want. You know, it's not something that would ever come into my mind to do that. But yeah, fair enough. You can do it. And I said, but the worry is you go to this travel lodge, and like everybody else probably on Marathon Eve, you'll have a terrible night's sleep anyway. Turns out everything was fine. We saw a fox. Oh, I love my little facts. Let me scroll down. We saw a fox in Rotherhithe, and I just never thought I'd see a fox actually in a city like London. But what do you think?
Oh my goodness, Gary, you've not been to London for a while, because they're literally...
Well, how many foxes? Let me scroll down. I did Google this.
Okay.
How many foxes do you think would live in London?
Have they done a censor of this? They've got them in and counted them.
They asked all the foxes.
Okay, 10,000?
Oh, bang on. 10 to 15,000 foxes live in the city. London is home to a thriving population of urban foxes, with estimates suggesting that around 10 to 15,000 foxes live in the city. This fox was not bothered at all. If it was in the countryside, it would be adios. Not in the city. But what do they eat in the city? You know, my goodness me, all the pizzas, all the takeaway foods, all the bins.
Their cholesterol must be...
Changes the subject a bit. When we did Briefing Coaches a few weeks ago, the listener said about doing Audax, and we just thought it was a typo and was high.
Oh, we thought it was a typo, didn't we? Everyone was outraged. Guys, you're so stupid. So stupid.
Well, I didn't realise this, and I appreciate you reaching out. But Audax is a long-distance cycling. Audax is a cycling sport which participants attempt to cycle long distances with a predefined time limit. Audax is a non-competitive sport. Yeah, I bet it is. Success in an event is measured by its completion, and Audax has its origins in Italian endurance sports of the late 19th century, and the rules were formalised in France in the early 20th century.
Is it a bit like am I going to upset people if I say this? Is it a bit like the LDWA, do you think? Sort of like long distance? They don't, definitely the Long Distance Walking Association are not competitive. Although I think I've
the
had
trail
some
runners...
pretty quick soup and sandwiches in some village halls.
Well, I think maybe the trail runners have kind of muddied that vibe a bit, because we are competitive and we say, oh, wow, we can do a 100 miler for 20 quid. We'll go and do it. But somebody said to me once, I did the Durham Dales Challenge, and they said, oh, I did win. Sounds like a flex. I won it that year. But then the officials...
should we have a pause? Do you want to say that again? So how do you get on? You enjoyed it? Yeah, you won it.
Cross record. But then I was reminded that it's not a race, just like parkrun. Fair enough. Yeah, great week.
This week, We're groundbreaking this week. We're mixing
Pioneers.
it up. This is Gary's worst nightmare.
So indulgent.
So indulgent. He doesn't want to do this, but I'm forcing him to. So we are going to mix a little bit of our Brew with the Coaches chat and a little bit of our main interview chat. We're going to melange them together because
Never been done before.
Never been done before. This is incredible because there's a lot of threads, as you like to say. There's a lot of threads we can pull from the fueling to the training. Gary didn't want to do this because he's like, it's too indulgent. There's a lot of chat about me, but he sort of says that while he's flexing. So we all know that he loves it. So we'll start off by thanking Precision Fuel and Hydration and Phoenix Lights for enabling us to do this, to giving us the time to be able to talk through all these things. Because I think this is where we learn. This is a space where we can all learn from you, Gareth Thwaites, because not only is this the format of our podcast, Pioneering, but the way you trained and then performed at this race is also, you just tore up the rule book. And
unconventional,
you just went out there. It's unconventional. But I love that because it shows that there's no right or wrong way. And many people who train in many different ways fit things in with their lives and think, I'm not doing what so-and-so, I'm not doing what Lorraine's doing down the road. Keith over there at Running Club, he does this. There's no right or wrong way. And you do what you do you and you did you. So
I think the message is, though, consistently show up. The little details of your elevation, profile, blah, 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 long runs. Just keep showing up.
You've inspired me the last few weeks, Gary, because you show up to those workouts, and even though you change your workouts because they scare you and you do something different, you're consistently there with, your long run, your workout. And when I pressed go on the treadmill to do my 3 by 10 minutes yesterday, I possibly wouldn't have done that like a month ago because I'd have been like, I'm going to do it outside because it's easier. But I was like, this is what Gary did. And I think could be my new T-shirt logo. This is what Gary did.
Inspiring.
And so, you're totally inspired. So
thanks,
thank you to Precision Fuel and Hydration that fuel us and you guys listening to being able to do this, and definitely helped a lot of people in that marathon. Oh my gosh, they've changed the way that we can fuel as trail runners, but also as marathon runners. And though you didn't use a head torch, did you pack your head torch?
Wasn't on the kit list.
Wasn't on the kit list, but we will still be using those. I've got 3 in my backpack that I'm training with at the moment. My 2 go-tos that I'll carry from a race. And my lightweight one. I don't know if I'll carry my heavy one and my lightweight one, or my 2 heavy ones and keep my lightweight one in my drop bag. I probably go for a heavy and a light one.
It's a good head torch.
It's such a good head torch. I know where I'm at. I'm happy with the beam. Anyway, before we start, we'll just give you the quick codes if you need them. Tea Time 2025 for 15% off your first order. Remember, patrons get 20% off with Precision Fuel and Hydration. Phoenix Lights, go over. You can get 10% off as a patron at www.phoenixlight.co.uk. So, Gazla, let's pick up where we left off. What's his name? Travis, Leon, what's his name? He'd left for the travel lodge. He's out of there. Your chat stinks. Justin left.
Crack is shit.
The crack was so bad. Your friend left the party, left the group chat. Okay, so sleep the night before. How was it? Good, bad?
Not so good
terrible.
the night before. Aaron, within seconds, I could just hear Aaron, little wisps of deep sleep.
Ray Shut up, and you want to punch them in the face.
I wanted to shake his bed. Ray. Well, this is partly my fault because I dragged Ray to Wagamama's and I think it messed with his little sensitive tummy. So there's a lot of wind coming from the top bunk. Lots of stuff.
Remind me, I'm never coming to one of your pre-race sleepovers with your mates.
I think I'll give Ray some anxiety when we go, let's go to Wagamama's. I was like, pizza pasta. Then I shoved a curveball in there.
Yeah, why would you do? I would never do a Wagamama's the night before a race.
Oh man, it was super fresh. It was a build your own donburi bowl. So I had just rice and then bits of salad. I had tofu, just keep it super clean. I thought it was awesome.
Well, Ray didn't. Convinced. I heard Paula Radcliffe on a podcast this week, which I loved, by the way. Spinning Plates. You won't listen to it. It's with Sophie Ellis Blackstone because it's with women. You will be like, no, damn with women.
Oi.
No, I don't think it. But Paula Radcliffe, she talks about the night before the race and how her dad used to say to her, you've had enough sleep in your life, you'll be fine. And I always say that to people, and I remember that because I've had some terrible night sleeps the night before a race, and you think it's all over, but you're always in that deep sleep when your alarm goes off. You're like literally had an hour.
Why? I cannot understand how that ever happens. Why literally you're struggling all night and then you're pressing snooze.
Gets to like 2 or 3 and then it goes off at 5 and you're like, oh my God. But it's always fine, isn't it?
If it's your first rodeo, then yes, it will be fine. If you've done quite a few, then you obviously got that experience, it's going to be fine, especially for a marathon. Goodness me, you can run multiple nights on an ultra and it's okay.
Yeah, I've gone into every single... the multiple 200s I've done, Gary, of not sleeping very well the night before with the anxiety. Okay, pre-race breakfast. What's the Finnish church offering?
Oh, I had a sugary bun from the Finnish church. Would have had a cinnamon bun, but they didn't have any in. I think they wiped them out on the little Saturday festival they had. And I bought, because I follow the science, I bought a big tin of ambrosia rice pudding. And then I was chugging on the pH. What is it? I've got it here. The pH 60 carb drink.
Terrible podcasting, turning away from your microphone.
Sorry, I know. Sorry. Yeah, I've got it here. The pH 60 grams with the 1,000 milligrams of sodium. I probably had 2 servings of that, so lots of sodium, which was a good play because stupidly I forgot to carry any salt capsules or anything like that. And because the Lucozade stands, you would get a little bit of electrolytes from the Lucozade stops, but they had the paper cups this year, which is great. I can't drink from a cup. I'd never practiced drinking with a cup, so it literally would all go down my face and my top. So not once from start to finish did any electrolyte enter. Lots left my body, but none entered my body. Also a Turkish delight about 20 minutes before the start.
Wow, this is your fueling strategy. So you had a Wagamama's, then you had a sugary bun, then you plowed down the sports nutrition, and then some Turkish delight.
0 caffeine for weeks and weeks and weeks.
So there's recently been a study that says that if you don't have caffeine, if you're a caffeine like us, what used to be, I can drink caffeine as I'm going to bed. I can have a cup of tea, go to bed, no probs, straight to sleep. Caffeine will have very limited effect on my performance if I take it because the body's just it's like candy. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But 11 days without caffeine and they saw a really good response to caffeine. So if you want caffeine to affect your performance in a positive way, not in the negative way that some of us do, then you do drink a lot of tea or coffee, then you're going to have to go a little bit cold turkey, I think is basically what they're finding, which is what you did.
Yeah, but not because of performance based, just because it's terrible for my tummy.
But then you took caffeine during the race. Did you feel the benefits?
I had 1 caffeine gel at 2 hours because I've read somewhere it takes a little bit of time for it to kick in.
Yeah.
And it's also got an afterlife too. So I thought that 2 hours, maybe see if it took 10 or 15
minutes. Was it 100
minutes
milligrams of caffeine?
Yeah, it was the Precision Fuel Hydration one.
Wow. You're 2 hours in as well, so you're solid. You know, you're actually 10-ish, just over 10K to the finish. So,
well, I'd never managed to do, normally I have this pretty graphic, but I have this pre-race ritual of trying to go to the loo as many times as possible. Like I would go to eventually get to the front of the queue for the Portaloos, and then I'd go to the back of the queue and repeat until literally I had to go in my wave. I couldn't do a number 2 before the race. So I was pretty straight. And normally, you go for a jog and then within about 5K, you're thinking, all right, it's all going to happen now. So the thought of a caffeine gel in 2 hours, that was quite triggering. Because I was struggling. I was a little bit aware that, you've got to, if you really want this 2 hours, 3 hours, sorry, you've got to kind of dig in here a bit.
All right, Kipchoge.
Yeah. So I was aware of it, but it wasn't like this rush, but like you say, that just heightened sense of awareness. And it just made that probably the next couple of miles feel a bit easier. And then you take another gel and it's like, well, there's only one more gel to go. And then we are finished. So you that is like a mindset thing that I use actually is counting down the gels. When you've only got a couple to go, you think we're nearly over. And then also when you get into the single digits towards the end of the run too, they are big positive moments for me during the race. But yeah, no electrolytes. So all my cards, I'd bet on the heat acclimation for this London Marathon.
You totally did. So you're getting to the start. How are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling fresh? Are you scared? Because you've literally had no take.
I am really anxious actually, because I'm greedy. I still want to perform well on the day. I ultimately wanted to have a good day, whatever that would mean, but I knew if the time had slipped, then there would be an element of that day which there'd be quite a lot of negative self-talk. So yeah, I was anxious. I laid a little bit of extra anxiety onto my head because I completely ignored the travel advice to go to Maze Hill and just went to Greenwich with everybody else, which left me with an epic walk to get to the Maze Hill pink start line. I literally had to walk all the way around the park, all past the blue, the yellow, the red, and then back on myself, crossed over the road like the big symbolic start that you see. I thought they were just doing it just to spread the load of people all over the park, so everybody wasn't all going to Greenwich. But no, there was some method to their madness. It all worked out fine. Yes, I didn't manage to go to the loo, but I got to the start. I queued up for the toilet. I think I handed my bag over. Then they said, oh yeah, wave 1 come on in. And that was that literally. So no time to really dwell on it. One last wee and off we went.
Okay, we're off. We're starting. How are you feeling? Is it like one of those races where the minute you get started, do you think, is this going to be a good day? Or were you like, wow, rusty?
No, initially, the first time I glanced, it was just a glitch on my heart rate strap. It said like 150 beats straight away, which, but yeah, that corrected itself pretty much immediately. So that stressed me out. I had really dry lips.
We suffer from that, Gary, though. We do suffer from the dry lips.
Well, not when running. It's never happened when I've been running something and, oh my goodness me, I'm dehydrated. The effort felt fine. Eventually, I looked at my heart rate and it was quite low. I think it got up to about 130 odd beats a minute. But yeah, my little legs weren't used to moving that fast. So there's a couple of things going on. I think I mentioned to you maybe just before I travelled that I definitely think I'm fit enough to do this race. I definitely think I'm fit enough to run that time. But because I've never done that kind of running really this year, is my body going to just say a little bit too much, Gary? It's like when you get on the treadmill for the first time, it's like, holy smoke, this is going super fast. The start of the London Marathon is historically fast. I'm not too sure what the elevation drop is over the first 5K. Yeah. It's probably like 100 feet, which in a road marathon
100 feet is a lot.
That's epic. And it plays out when I look at my splits. The first 5K is the fastest 5K. So I don't think I've gone off too fast. I've just gone with the terrain.
Okay, when did first gel go down?
20 minutes. I took your advice. Yeah, every 20 minutes religiously took. And it does.
Can we just edit that little bit and just go tink?
And that again, you know, if you're thinking about little mind tricks, how to pass the time better, give yourself a little job. 20 minutes for me, at least on that day, it comes around super fast. I do find though, I don't know if you experience this, when you've got to do a task, whether it's get a bottle of water from a drink station or a gel, you seem to slow down for maybe 10 or 15 seconds. Then you look down at your watch and it's like, okay, I've got to speed up to get my average pace. But it's really bizarre. So sometimes maybe I think if I preempted the gel, I would have increased the pace a bit just to kind of counteract for what was going to happen. Never really a major dip in energy. I think I mentioned earlier, I did get a little bit peckish, but I was mindful to keep drinking, to keep the hydration, to try and keep the balance in the tummy as good as possible. Although, yes, I was severely lacking in electrolytes. But yeah, I could not fault. I've done that before, the every 20 minutes, and I'm not even too sure why I talked myself out of it. Maybe I was trying to save some money on the Precision Fuel hydration gels. I'm not too sure.
Biomechanically, you said you're not used to running that fast. So did you feel anything in your hips or glutes where you like, oh, this is...
I must scrape my knees together when I run, and that only really became an issue because I was so wet. Every time I saw, even though I'd done this heat training, I never thought I'm going to avoid. They have like the shower sprinklers. I'd always run through those. I'd always drink at every aid station. I'd always aim for any bit of shade. So the accumulation of chucking water over my head and running through the showers, my groin, that inner thigh, these thighs, Eddie, they are incredible, but they rub together.
Incredible.
How many steps? Is it like 40,000, 44,000 steps in a marathon? So yeah, all those little, and same with my knees too. So mechanically all okay, apart from just the chafing, no issues there.
Oh, now, when did you think in the race, yeah, my legs have got this?
I'll have to kind of look over to the right. I've got some little numbers jotted down.
I'm used to you not making eye contact.
Awkward eye contact. When I realised my heart rate wasn't drifting up like it would normally do, say Manchester Marathon last year, about 145 beats, I think, roughly average pace throughout, and then that last like halfway onwards it rose to about 150 beats, and then at the very end when you sprint finish you're chasing that clock, went up to about 157, I think, around about that level. But so the equivalent this year all the way to well over halfway, it was around 135, 136 beats a minute. So if you do some kind of basic maths, I am operating on 10 beats a minute less, I think, until about the 18-mile mark. And that is incredible. So cardiovascular, I don't want this to come across like I'm being smug or anything. There was no issues whatsoever with the energy output from my body. And looking at those numbers, it was really reassuring because I knew Manchester Marathon, again, we talk about these mindsets, learning from experiences, what you can lean on, positives and negatives. And I knew I'd just run a marathon a year before that. And I'd actually trained for that marathon properly, trying to get this good for age for London this year. So I know I had so much more in the engine to give, whether the manifold might fall off or something, I don't know. But as far as the heart rate is concerned, it never once felt like this is too much.
Can you remember your fueling at Manchester? Because I wonder...
Because I was invested in that as far as the London Marathon Good for Age is concerned. So I would have fueled every 20 minutes. I don't know the exact weather for the day, but I remember Manchester was quite warm too. You don't get as much shade in Manchester, say, like you do in London. So
or the showers, those like cooling showers, though, when you were in London this year.
I can't remember that side of things, to be honest, but London, there was quite a few cooling showers. But I have to say, it's quite a good comparison, as good as I could do anyway. So to see that heart rate and also not really climb until the last, I think it was like 18 or 19 miles, it started to go above the 140s. That's the last time I saw like 130. That was filling me with loads of confidence, especially sometimes I'm not really strong if you have to run up a little incline, if it's a flat or a descent.
That's where I'm going to take you down.
I'm easy prayer there. Even then, I didn't witness the normal like drift in heart rate that I would get just for the increase in effort. Yeah, super pleased with that.
Did you feel hot at any point?
You know, that was a big takeaway for a lot of people. I'm not going to take away from what the feedback they're given because they hadn't done this heat training. But I wouldn't say I did London Marathon. I forget the date when it was in a hot year. So I have had the negative effects of a hot day. So I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
My experience for London 2025, my body didn't feel anywhere like that. But then that plays out with the heat training. My experience from the last few days of heat training, it's so much more comfortable compared to what it was, say, 2 weeks ago.
Well, I'm really interested because there's been a lot of studies of heat training. We've seen the benefits of heat training done in studies on cyclists. It's mainly been on cyclists, on men.
Yeah.
It's only like really we are able to take like this knowledge from, word of mouth. To me, that is the biggest, like in the field. This is from the field. I wonder how much of heat training is that the heat training is so horrible and so hard that when you're then running without the suit, there's an element of mental, like the mental toughness you've got from that, and you're just so happy to be free.
Well, everything feels easier. Any run when you're not in your heat suit, it's like when you take your hydration vest off and you go for a run naked. That is incredible.
Oh, you just take it off at the car and you're like, that was actually from my athletes that did London Marathon. And I would say probably like 3/4 of them heat trained, some passive, some in the sauna, some active. Like it's all different and everyone's different on their journey. So some people, there's a lot more training they can do than put heat training in. There's always noise. And we've just picked up to this bit of noise that we've quite enjoyed because we've both been running for so long. There's only so many things, so many treadmill sessions we can do. But what I've noted back from my like in the field studies is the ones that it didn't seem to matter if they'd done passive or active heat training.
That's
but
interesting.
All of those, so there's 2 threads of which we love our threads, that they took gels every 20 minutes. They unfailingly fueled high and they fueled regularly and they did heat training and they all came out with a really positive experience. And I asked them the same questions that I asked you, was like, did you feel hot? The ones that didn't heat train have talked about how hot it was and how they felt that really different. And the ones that did heat train have all said, no, actually, I felt really good. I felt really strong. Strong's the word that keeps coming out. I felt really strong. No one has said fast.
For me, a marathon is a strong event. Yes, there's all varying degrees of fast, but this is not fast in terms of, say, maybe if I was to have to do like a 1500 race. So I do feel I have to be kind of like a diesel engine to chug along for, but like, like a strong diesel engine. But, anecdotally, Justin, he's never heat trained. I think he might have had 2 gels the whole race. He smashed it. So
like all these things, like your taper, like your preparation for it, like there's no right or wrong. We're just saying what we found, and perhaps people can pick out like I do in life. You pick out the bits that you like you do when you're listening to me.
But
Gary,
that taper is wild. That gives you so much confidence because you have these plans. I think I initially said my ideal scenario was a 3-week taper. You were like saying maybe a 2-week taper,
and then a 2-day. We met in the middle. Some people don't need the taper, and I think maybe like you don't need a big taper. Like you are a high volume athlete. You respond well. You're able to hold that consistency and carry on living in life. You're used to that. And so actually, maybe you do. And I think it'd be interesting to put this to, you might not want to put it to practice for your big A races, but actually maybe you do better not having a big taper and keeping the foot on the pedal a little bit more. And I just think this is a great discussion on like, there is no right or wrong, and you do you. And everybody's different and everybody responds differently, because definitely there's some people that I think will do heat training and find they didn't have any response, or that it's just too horrible and they can't recover from it. Let's go back. We're in the marathon, highs and lows. Good, bad. Chaffing, was that the lowest?
I think the chaffing was the low point.
When did the chaffing start?
I must have noticed that at about.
Did you buy some new red shorts by any chance?
I did have some special red shorts for the day, yeah. I can't really think of a low point in that race, if I'm honest. There was no time.
We need the content. Come on. There's got to be a point where you were like, I hate myself. I hate life.
Well, the beginning was really stressful and I couldn't see the 3-hour pace. That triggered me because that was my plan. Say what I did at Manchester was just latch onto that 3-hour legend at Manchester and let them do all the work. I can't remember one really low point. I knew I needed a gel and I knew we needed a caffeine gel at around 20 miles because I looked at some of my splits and they were going a little bit north of, I think 6:52 is your 3-hour pace. But then London's a little bit long, so you need to be maybe running more like 6:48. So I was getting a few 6:52s, 6:50s. It wasn't hemorrhaging time, but the average pace was slightly going down. So there's a little bit of negative self-talk going on there. But I know it's really boring. But other than that, no real... I didn't have to dig in. I remember last time I did London, I had this real big talk to myself, like how much I wanted it. And I didn't have those cards to fall back on because there was nothing at the end of this London. This was the end of this journey, Northern Traverse. If I'm fit and well, will be next year's kind of April adventure. Highs, though, just has to be that, this sounds a bit mushy, but just that coming together of the city, people doing like positive things. Met loads of listeners, which blew me away to go to a road race. I know there's 50,000 people plus all the spectators, but yeah, if I got the Lakeland 100, that's our tribe. So I kind of think after doing the Lakeland 100 a few years ago,
you get upset when people don't know you at Lakeland 100, don't you?
Yeah, I expect it.
Excuse me. Could you get out of my way, please?
But after the first time we did Lakeland 100, when we did the podcast years ago, it was like, oh, wow, yeah, these people listen to the podcast. I never really expect that, say, at London Marathon. To bump into listeners in that context is quite overwhelming. Somebody shouted heavy flex, which I just thought was absolutely incredible in the depth of like concrete London. But yeah, just everybody coming together, all the supporters, everybody's super happy, all the volunteers. It was just the perfect day.
What happens at the finish? What's your finish line photo like? Are you composed?
Well, I don't really. I actually bought the photographs. I never normally buy the London Marathon.
Well, it can be on the. We can use it on our old thumbnails on the socials.
I did get a bit emotional actually as you're running down the mile.
Sure.
You realise that you're going to get your goal time. Numbers are arbitrary. I'm not too sure why I attach so much to it, but realise that it's all went well. The wheels haven't fallen off, and you cross the line, and then lo and behold, I see a listener. I'm pretty sure he's a patron too. David Ward, who, he's over in our Facebook group too. So it was awesome just to see a friendly face as you cross the line. It's such a slick machine, though. You do the bag check, then it's all alphabetical after that, so you can do the meet and greet, catch up with your friends, and luckily you found a bit of shade and just waited for everybody to come in, and then you're reliving everybody's stories. And that's, I think, what London does best, though. We walked out to Trafalgar Square. It's such a treat. I think even as trail runners, to run down Birdcage Walk and then turn onto the mile.
All those people, to have all those people. I mean, we're lucky in the finish line if there's like maybe the RD and a friend.
Intense.
You.
If anybody's thinking about doing London Marathon, though, don't save your sprint finish for when you turn at Buckingham Palace. You think you've got maybe like 100 metres to go.
The medal looks sensational.
It is a good bit of bling. Yeah. So they get bigger and bigger. I'm not too sure why, but they get bigger and bigger every year. But as far as medals go, that will be staying on my little medal rack for quite a long time. Lovely T-shirt. I'd wear the T-shirt down the pub. You picked the T-shirt up the Expo now, which is a change from last time when I did London.
You used to get handed the T-shirt at the end, didn't you?
Even if you get a DNF, you'll still have your London Marathon T-shirt. Maybe all the DNFs are on eBay. I'm not too sure. I should have a look.
Well, I said to my kids, we absolutely, oh my gosh. So I had a really busy day on Sunday with 3 different kids sporting events and high pressure sporting events with a lot of emotional attachment to them. So I was emotionally involved in my kids doing that, but also then heavily emotionally involved in all my athletes doing London Marathon. Plus, I just count you on my roster really because it just goes to that same to it. But so I was driving around, dropping them off, waiting, watching. So I had London the playing one with like the WhatsApp and what's going on and us coordinating the kids, and then I'd taken one of the kids' phones, blasted through. They don't have very much data, blasted through the data, and I was just listening to the commentary then as well as then just like refresh track. I was so invested. I loved tracking you, and then I said to the kids, I was like, so I ran the London. My first experience of like long distance running was running the London Marathon with my mum when I was 18, and it was a big deal back then.
Oh wow!
No one like I was still at school, and it was like, whoa, like I just remember the journey, and Dad used to drive the routes out because we followed this plan from the book that you got sent when you got and it said like 18 miles. And so Dad would plan it, would drive out round the lanes to get exactly 18 miles.
Love it.
And then he would spend the morning driving, like meeting it, because we didn't have hydration vests or anything, like carrying all stopping, and he'd have proper like tea flasks. He was a pioneer of the checkpoint. He was out there. It was such a great experience. Such happy memories of that, and just remember. And my mum was just—she's not a runner. That's just amazing that we did that. Yeah. And I remember going, and she let.
Can't imagine my mum and dad doing that.
Well, I look back now. It was as we do when we're growing up. We look back at our parents. We go, wow. And they bought me the jumper, and I remember like swaggering into school the next day, and I teamed it with a little mini skirt because I thought it's just really. I think it was actually because it was the start of my terrible battle with chafing, and I had such bad chafing. I couldn't like thighs and all around my like waist. I don't know. I'm thinking pull tights up. So nothing. I'd said to the kids, so let's carry on the family tradition. Who's going to run the London Marathon when they're 18 with me? And they were like, the boys. Mum, why would we run that with you? We'd absolutely smash you. There would be no point. You'd be so slow. And I was like, I was like, I would destroy you.
Challenge
if you want to race.
accepted.
And then I thought, well, this is like 5 years' time, Gary. An 18-year-old teenage boy.
I think you'll take them down once.
I'm going to need to do this sooner than they're in their 18. Anyway, of course, Eve was like, I'll run it with you, Mum. I'd love to run it with you. I was like, right. Anyway, but you were inspiring the next generation because we were all so invested in your journey and in lots of people's journey. The media now around that race is...
It's so different to when I first did it 2013, maybe 2012. How it is now, it's unrecognizable. I actually spoke to somebody last night who did the very first London Marathon.
I mean, there must be people that have done every single London Marathon. That is incredible. So your journey ends here now. You've met with your friends. I think you sent me the pizza and beer emoji and crying emoji and legend emoji. Did you have a beer at the end?
I did, yeah. It doesn't take much to get Gary tipsy, so...
Wow, I can't wait. End of Northern Traverse. Can we have some beers? That would be
it depends
brilliant.
What time you
Live
finish,
podcasts. Live podcasts.
Early beers.
Early beers.
I know my limit. Well, I had one beer in Trafalgar Square and I was like, oh yeah, I need some food. So yeah, we aimed for, I think it was all the places in the city you could go to. We ended up in a Witherspoons.
Oh, perfect though, because you just want burger and chips and liquid, don't you? Must have been so... You must have been so...
It's all, like, so you just go around London, all the volunteers, all day it's been full of positivity, but then you have your T-shirt on and complete randoms are just like checking in with you, saying, like, well done.
They're not randoms, Gary. They're Patreons. Well done, Gary.
I just absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And one tip, this is, I suppose, a bit of a brew of the coaches section. Stick to your own race. If I'd have maybe tried to find Justin or run with Justin. There's another guy, Mark Rain, Sedgefield Harrier. As I was taking my last minute toilet stop, he drifted off into the distance, and that until I think maybe about 20 odd miles after the last I saw of Mark. So in my kind of ego, I thought I did think for a little while, I'll try and catch Mark up and then we'll run together. But then I was thinking, well, it's going to probably take me 3K. I might burn quite a few matches trying to close that gap. Trying to race Justin, although he was a different start, but knowing what time he was going for. The marathon will find you more than any other race. You don't have really any time to course correct. If you've burned your matches, that is it.
You can't come back. You don't hear from anybody going, I slipped to a, 3 minute miles slower than you planned. But then I came back like you do in trail racing, in a 100-mile race, you can pull, we've seen it. You can pull from the brink of lying on village hall floors being sick, and you can finish a race and go, I got 20 places, because the marathon.
And the mentality, when you are in the marathon, I'll flex with my splits.
Here we go.
When the splits are in your favour, it is like, this is something that Marathon Talk said ages ago. You see the tide coming back in, basically. If you've gone too fast, you might run out. But then slowly but surely that the tide will catch you
and
up.
You don't realise it. You're just sitting on the beach sunbathing. You've got your sun cream. You've got your speaker. You're listening to some chilled Ibiza classics. You're sipping your pina colada, and suddenly it's at your toes.
But you like doing whatever your pace is. For argument's sake, you're doing an 8-minute mile. Everything is phenomenal. And then out of nowhere, it's like, an 8:15, then an 8:30. Then a 9.
But you also
then a
know
9:15.
I should have started at 8:15s. I should have started, but I feel good, so I'm going to go with the 8s. And you think miraculously, because of today, you're going to carry it. And then 10 miles, it's all honey. And then slowly
but surely. So we did first 5K, I was 4,100. At 15K, I was 3,650. At halfway, 3,500. Then basically, slowly but surely, went to the finish in 2,399. So that is such a positive memory, to be slowly but surely going past people, regardless of your time.
Did you find it quite congested? Because I have heard from a few athletes that they did find it quite busy.
No more than normal. I'm not too
normal.
sure where they started in, maybe Red Pen or something where it's super busy. But I didn't feel it any. I remember one year at Greenwich, you do a tight turn before you come to Cutty. So I remember slamming on the brakes big time there. I didn't experience any of that this year.
Is it because you had those people running around you, your mind goes around you?
The Kipchoge, what did Kipchoge have when he was breaking two? I had my little peloton. If you can pace it correctly and not get wrapped up with anybody else, then you could have a super good day. I even did a negative split. I'm going to flex again. 1:29.12 halfway, 2:58.19. I think that is a couple of seconds.
And the second half is a little bit longer, a tiny bit longer as well.
I noticed
it's a tiny bit long.
I went through halfway and my watch was pretty accurate on all the gantries when it would beep, but by the end you've accumulated another quarter of a mile.
What would you say trail runners is our... This is our audience, but we are trail runners at heart. What would you say to people that are now thinking, Gary, I think I want to dip my toe into this road marathon? Can you train on the trails for a road marathon?
Yes. Well,
do you think it's because you've got the background in road running that you were that was transferable?
Yeah, maybe, because it isn't my first rodeo, and I've said a few times that I've never nailed the long run. So I didn't really need to rely on that mindset. I know a lot of people who are new to marathons would almost like to do a marathon distance long run just to give them that confidence. So if you are new to it, then maybe my unconventional approach of just sticking to the trails isn't the way to go, because you wouldn't have those kind of positive reinforcements that you'd get.
It's the biomechanic, isn't it? It's a hit back from the... But I've trained a lot of people with a mixed approach. It doesn't need to be one way or the other. And we've done every third week, we're going to do a long road run. Then we're going to do the next week, we're going to do just a hilly 4 hours, hike as much as you want, just enjoy. Then we're going to go back. We're going to be on the trails, but we're going to put in some tempo efforts, and then we're going to back on the road. I do think that we can mix it up a bit more than perhaps the conventional literature would tell us as well, so that you still enjoy the training.
The sessions are pretty much the same.
Just
I did
put
a few
it uphill on a treadmill.
Yeah. The heart rate is whatever the heart rate is. It doesn't know, but like you say, the biomechanical that did worry me.
But you've done your strength work as well. You've a few weeks where it's been quiet, but the background strength work is there as well. So the hips, the glutes, incredible leg strength.
And I've come off. So people maybe just view me this little microscope where I am now. When I first started running, I had herniated disc after herniated disc. I had ruptured groins. I was that classic runner where you get a little bit of fitness and it's much
you do what you just gorge on it. You put your head in the chocolate fondue and then
the body would break down. The body kept breaking down. And it's probably only been maybe the last Amsterdam Marathon was probably the last time I suffered from anything like that. So you're talking a decade to get this level of robustness. But yeah, I've been there with a herniated
These
disc.
looks, a decade, many trips to Turkey.
But yeah. You know, it is a brew with the coaches, and we hear lots of questions about like herniated discs and stuff like that. I've been that guy. It's not, fair enough. I seem to be robust enough to do it at the moment, but I've had my fair share of injuries, and one thing with injuries, you see everybody else. Yeah.
So I think what we can take away from this is that there's no right or wrong way to approach any race.
Yeah.
Do your own thing. I think, and the biggest thing I think from your training is that consistency is king. Consistency wins over really anything else. And I bang this drum a lot, that just even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's 20 minutes, doing something consistently is what matters over actually what you're doing in that block as well. And that's what you've definitely been. Since you're whining after Dragon's Back, going, I've not done much, Eddie, I'm not done much, got nothing to talk about. Since then, you've come back maybe 5 weeks after that, and you got back training again. You've pretty much been...
Arguably, probably too much. You know, I think if I had a coach, would maybe rein me in a little bit, maybe.
I think if you want to go dig that cherry tree, digging those roots a little bit, and you want to go, I want to maybe see something at 249, you know, then there might need to be, that periodization, that structure of that training might need to be a little bit more overload, come back just to push a little bit, be able to push rather than hold. But hellfire, what you're doing at the moment, let's keep it going. It's working, man.
But isn't it awesome? 51 still
51
chasing.
Gary still got it. I don't care what people say. You still got it. Well, thanks for doing it for us. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed your build. We enjoyed me going, holy crap, my God, what's he gonna do? I never doubted you, but I was nervous.
Concerned,
I was just concerned about your health, because we've also seen that your health hasn't been, perhaps, you know, when you get something, it floors you. And I knew how much you wanted all kinds of tops. So that was like, oh God, we are. But fingers crossed, we come through. Let's see what the next few weeks holds. The
omen's bad though. I had a great Manchester, and then I think the rest of the year was a bit hit and miss after Manchester. So maybe
let's manifest this.
History repeats.
No, we're not going there. Thank you to Precision Fuel and Hydration for helping you on your fueling, teaching us about fueling, showing us that with good fueling we can do anything. And Phoenix Lights, thank you for, you didn't help on this particular race, but my God, you've helped us and many of our listeners as well. Saved our bacon, shining your way on the trail as well. And that's enough now. Enough road marathons. Let's put that head torch back on. Let's stuff a few more gels into our hydration vest, and let's get back on the trail.
Too fancy another road marathon.
Shut up. If you decide to do that, then you just need to set up the Tea and Road Marathon.
Splinter group.
A Splinter podcast, and you can find another co-host, and it can just be, that happens. People go off. We'll still do this, but you'll just have to spend another day talking to someone else. No, you wouldn't. You'd be all confused. You'd be like, oh, Eddie, it's not the same without you, Eddie.
One last tip though for people. I religiously stuck to my plan. Lube up, be 100%. But also, we say this with the ultras, whatever race it is, be flexible. I had quite a few takeaways from people that I got chatting to. It wasn't the race they wanted on the day, but they eased off and they finished with a smile instead of a sufferfest for the last 6 miles, or possibly even a DNF. So, don't be afraid just to ease off if things are going a bit south for you. Big Ben, I don't know if you remember, but when you see Big Ben, you think, oh, nice one, Big Ben. It is miles.
6 miles, isn't it? 6 miles from the finish.
Stupid like that. I remember Justin saying that to me, and I'm like, yeah. And then on the day I saw Big Ben, I'm looking at my watch, I'm thinking, fuck, it's ages away. But goodness me, I love it. From getting off the train at King's Cross Station on Friday, all weekend in London, I've had nothing but support. In-face messages on Facebook, WhatsApp, over on Instagram too. It's been absolutely wonderful from start to finish. And like I said in the interview, I never expected anyway, but to get some kind of support in London Marathon, it's pretty overwhelming. And just to see our listeners out on the route, Yeah, 10 out of 10. Absolutely 10 out of 10 experience. Thank you, everybody who reached out over the weekend. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Harrier Trail Running, for sponsoring our Strava Club and Tales from the Trails section. Harrier is the UK's fastest growing brand for trail runners, providing specialist kit designed for superior fit, comfort and function with the best customer support. Check them out for race vests, waterproofs, poles and other trail essentials at www.harryrunfree.co.uk, where you can also download your free copy of How to Run an Ultra Guide. Use the code T10 for 10% off site-wide, or check out their brilliant trail bundles for a special 20% off. Harrier have just launched their Harrier Pro Trail team. They'll be training and racing in the latest Harrier gear, pushing it to the limits and helping Harrier make their product better. Sad to see Sana Duthie not achieve her FKT goal over the weekend. I saw her post on Instagram though. She said she still loves running and she's still happy. Also, a lot of money was raised for a great cause, and I'm sure she'll be back on the trails soon after some well-earned R&R. First up on the Strava Club, this is not a setup. Samuel Skinner, who is part of the Harrier Pro Trail team. Oh, Eddie, this is a flex. 120 miles. I'm not too sure. Sam's a request to follow, so I'm not too sure if he's a cyclist or not. But either way, 120.5 miles of total distance with the longest run of 34.8 miles. And look at that vert, 21,719
This is your week
feet.
of dreams, Gary. This is your
hopefully soon. We'll be back to those kind of dates. Like I say, request to follow, so I'm not too sure what he was up to, but I know he's on the start line for the UTS, so I'm certain he will have been playing around on those Welsh trails. Next up, Kaylee Webster, another 104. When I spun the wheel this week, it was all in the top 10. So this is why the numbers are like really, really high. 104.1 miles for the week with the longest run of 53.6 and total elevation for the week of 13,287 feet. So Kaylee did a West Highland Way in 2 days. Over 53 miles one day and over 42 miles on day 2. That sounds incredible. You'll know actually a bit closer to where that is. The weather up there over the weekend.
Lovely. Bit of rain. Yeah, it was a bit rainy. Yeah, we didn't have your weather. It's different weather climate. It's better up here. We love rain and clouds.
Last up. I must admit, I love the capital, but it was really nice to wake up this morning and have the little dawn chorus of all the birds tweeting instead of that kind of traffic drone of the Rotherhithe tunnel. Next up and last up is Joe Turner. Oh goodness me, 124.1 miles per week, longest run of 23.6. I've googled. I don't think he was at the start line for Manchester, and I don't think he was on the start line for London, so I'm not too sure what Joe has been up to. 2,684 feet of vert. Joe's got a GB vest in his Strava profile. If I had a GB vest, I would wear that.
You'd have it on now.
7. But Joe's smoking fast. I've looked at his power of 10. He's made quite a few podiums. Well done, everybody. Kudos. Tales from the trails.
We got a couple of tales from the trails this week. Both are a little bit on the timeline. So this is why I chose these two this week. One's from Lizzie Quirk. I hope I've got your surname right there, Lizzie. She would like to give a shout out. She's a clinical dietitian who's trail running mad and doing a master's degree in sports nutrition, 10 years on from her first uni degree. That was a shock to the system. For her project, she's researching hydration strategies, fluid intake and GI symptoms in runners during the ultramarathon. Woohoo! She's got permission from the race director at the lap, which is coming up. I think it's around the 10th, I think it was. So it will be next weekend if you're listening to this. And from the podcast, it seems that lots of people will be doing the lap. I'm sure they will. So she's hoping we can read this out to get as many people as possible to fill out her survey, especially women. She'll be at registration and have posters at the start to prompt your memory. And you just have to scan a QR code to do the survey. Now, these things, often at races, I see them and I'm like, I'm not going to do them. But we always, and I mean, I'm someone that's obviously suffered, so we're still suffering with terrible GI symptoms. And I'm always going, scientific study, they didn't look at women, or there's no study, so we don't actually know, we're just using ourselves. So this is why this jumped out in the inbox in me, because I would let's support these sort of studies. We do want to find out more. We do want to, we don't want to just use ourselves as the experiment. So perhaps if you're doing the lap and you could do the survey for Lizzie, we would all be super grateful. And then I've got another story. So I was hoping, Gary, that I would do this year. year and be able to cheer you at the London Marathon. But my kids had other plans.
How incredible does this sound?
This sounds fun. This sounds fun. Maybe next year. This is from Andrew Henry. Tales from a reverse London Marathon runner. I was in Birdcage Walk at midnight on Saturday with another bunch of lycra-clad folk, some wearing fairy lights, everyone chatting nervously. Our lycra leader said, run at 1 minute past midnight and head east. Don't stop until dawn. This is the best. We obeyed. On the way, we saw the sights of London and random late-night drunks shouted at us some blatant lies like, you totally got this. And he's written, you've totally got this. There were no roaring crowds, no waving motivational signs, just head torches, fairy lights and silent streets as everyone slept whilst we ran. I had Tower Bridge to myself, apart from a lady wearing huge illuminated fairy wings. At 4 a.m, I was running under a particularly bleak underpass in Rotherhithe. He was literally running past you, Gary. This is you. And a lady standing at a picnic table gave out jelly babies and was asking me if I was okay. Then a man in a unicorn suit passed us pushing a fairy-lit woman in a shopping trolley. Excellent. 5.5 hours later, I reached the end, almost vomited, got a Mendel, then wandered off into the mists of a freezing Greenwich, trying to find my way home. True story.
Legend.
I definitely want to do this at some point. And I did mention it to some people. People were like, why? And I was just like, it just would be cool. It would just be cool to run this route, knowing in a few hours' time the amount of people that were on the line. And I do like the idea of like running to go and see your friends as well, to support them. This gives a bit of purpose.
I'd be all over that. There was a few of our listeners doing that race. I saw some pictures of with Tea and Trail Snood at Greenwich in the morning, someone who'd just done it.
Is this official? Or because back in this has been going on forever. And I'm pretty sure at some point it was like really frowned upon and illegal and you had to like...
I don't think it's official, but I don't think they frown upon it.
And lots of people do it. Like lots and lots of people do it. Maybe one year, Tea and Trails meet up, reverse London 100%. Marathon. Oh, that would be awesome. My God. You'll know us. There's no entry. It's just bring your buff.
You're not going to get any sleep anyway. You might as well go for a run.
People must do it and then run back. There must be lots of people. I've heard of that. I've heard of people doing it.
Oh, my goodness me.
Heavy flex. Do you want a review? Nah. Do we need a review? You need a review.
I don't need a boost, but I'm greedy.
You bastard.
Oi!
Podcast. Hey, that's his name. Forever thankful to my better half, Gemma, for relentlessly... This is what we need, Gemma. We need more of you. Relentlessly recommending this podcast over the past 12 months. Eventually, I gave it a go. Good. Gemma, good. Keep up that good work. And I'm now totally hooked. Thank you for all you share and do to inspire us and make us laugh. I'll pleasure you, bastard. I always wanted to have a dog called Bastard so that I could shout across the field. Bastard! We love your tales from the trails and reviews. Keep them coming in. Pop over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts for the reviews or email us for your tales from the trails at hello@teaandtrails.com. Our email inbox. We're sorry if you've emailed us and we're not replying. You go away. I'm busy. It's chaos over there.
We should have done some lip exercise today. You've been tripping over our words.
This is because we've been recording for 44 hours.
Wow. So it's now real time, 1:45, and we jumped on the mics about 9 o'clock.
Oh. 8:45. You were badgering me. 8:45, Gary. Let's take some protein, Rebel. Bring us home. Some caffeine maple syrup. Just pour it straight on the porridge.
Thank you, Protein Rebel, for bringing us home. Gentle on your stomach, driving your performance. Whether you're trying to get a PB or training for your first marathon or completing your 10th ultra, Protein Rebel's products are easy to digest with no artificial additives, providing both performance and overall health benefits. That would be a great. So if you like your porridge pots in the morning before a marathon or any time of the week, a little bit of maple energy gel.
Oh yeah, porridge pot. It's not my first rodeo, Gary.
Your week coming up must be more exciting.
I'm training. Yeah, it's definitely. For once, I'll be doing more than you, and I'm going to be like, yeah, baby, I'll be long running. I am going to do some longer efforts, a lot of treadmill based stuff as well, because I'm busy, Gary. I think I'm going to share that story next week, but literally running on and off the treadmill, keep up with the heat training and just ticking off the days, doing the rugby coaches. every day, doing the best I can with the day that I have. And I'm going to go back out on that long hilly run course that I did last week. And I'm adding another 3 miles because I like a 20-mile run. That is, when I saw 17, I was a little bit disappointed in myself.
Triggering.
I thought, come on, Eddie, let's get this to 20. So this week it's going to be 20. And the fluid in the car afterwards, I'm going to have to add another flask of tea because I downed the flask of tea before it's only like a 10-minute drive back home. So maybe 2 flasks of tea.
I don't think my bladder could hold if I took all that fluid in. And
yeah, but I find like I'm so dehydrated, I don't go for a wee for about 12 hours after my long runs. I think this is telling a lot. What about you? Are you back running?
If I break the back of the podcast, I'll be out tonight for a jog around the Deed. I've got a run. Oh, God, I've not got the car today, so I've got a run to Peterlee and then run back. So that's 5-mile journey. Then the run around the Dean. So it's going to be like double figures, which I don't really want to do. I'll run Friday and then we're off to the lakes on Saturday for the last big all-county tops recce. I just hope Robbo is kind on me because...
I really hope he's not.
He's going to rinse me.
You've gone on and on about how this is your A race and you're going to turn up a shell of a man.
I know.
And he's going to enjoy taking you down. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Share the podcast and the episode. Pop over to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and subscribe, or even consider becoming an awesome Patreon. Thank you to X Miles Precision Fuel Hydration, Phoenix Light UK, Harrier Trail Running, Protein Rebel, and Shocks for sponsoring this week's code. Here are the discount codes: T15 2025 for Shocks, T15 for Protein Rebel, T-Time 2025 for Precision Fuel Hydration, and T10 for Harrier Trail Running. Thanks to our partners and patrons too. We couldn't do this without you and your ongoing support. Good luck to everyone. If you're putting your feet back into your trainers after London Marathon, enjoy. If you're getting back out on the trails, shout out to everyone at the Scarpa Great Lakeland 3-Day. We were hoping to be there. I'm not, because my life now sits in my Volvo providing snacks, and you'd already tied into doing something else. But one day we'll get there. But good luck to that. Runners, organisers and volunteers. Hope you'll have a wonderful time.
Let the trail rise to meet you and the wind always be on your back. Be kind to future self, breathe and believe, and progress, not perfection. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 119 of the Tea and Trails podcast.